If I were to open this, if you're not sure of how to begin your renovation, go to Home Trust. Home Trust is Singapore's leading renovation platform that matches homeowners with trusted interior designers. On the main page, simply click the Get Recommendations feature and answer a few simple questions to get matched with reputable IDs. From there, you can check out their portfolios and take a look at their reviews. Did you know that Home Trust do not delete negative reviews? This is where Home Trust stands out, by providing the promise of trust and transparency to homeowners like ourselves. If you want to know more, make sure you visit their website at hometrust.sg. Hi everyone, today let's talk about renovation regrets. Actually, this is quite a happy video to do because we don't really have a lot of regrets. But that being said, most of the items that you see here are not really considered as regrets, but more of the little nitpicks. And with that, let's get started with the smaller ones, those that we can live with, and then we move on to the bigger and bigger mistakes that we wish we can go back in time to undo them. First on the list are cabinet hinges. So I mentioned this in our kitchen carpentry video, that once in a while, we will end up having cabinet doors that stays half open like this. This happens because we are very civilized human beings. We don't really slam the door violently, so the door will stay half open like this. Now if I were to use a bit more force, it is going to close properly. Now, what I know is that some homeowners actually prefer it this way, not sure why as well. But if you're given Excel hinges, it may be a good idea to check with your ID. It may be just this particular model from Excel, but what I know is that Bloom hinges doesn't have this issue. Anyways, for us, it is no big deal. We can totally live with it. Even so, these hinges can be easily changed out in future if we want to. Next on the list is our entrance slope. When we collected our keys, this area at the entrance was originally a cement slope. We were also advised by our flooring guy that it will look nicer if we extended the vinyl flooring all the way outward to this line. Because of that, the floor now is 5 mm higher. We have to pay an extra $80 to trim the main door so that the door can open and close properly without getting stuck. After our renovations, we ended up using this doormat to cover the slope permanently. The purpose is to prevent the dust from coming into the house, and we can also brush our feet before stepping in. If I knew beforehand, I would have saved the $80 and spent on other items instead. Next on our list is the drain hole for cement base. Normally at the bottom of your kitchen carpentry, there should be a hole for water to flow into the drainage whenever you wash your kitchen. And it is not supposed to look like that. I will put a photo of how it is supposed to look like. Basically, due to miscomm, the contractor just put one entire piece of tile over here. And after the cement dries out, then I realized the hole was not done. When I asked the contractor to correct it, he asked if he can just cut it out like this instead of redoing the entire tile. Back then I was overly nice, I said okay. But on hindsight, right, I should just ask him to hack out the tile and redo. In our case, we also went with vinyl flooring anyway, and we will never be flooding our kitchen with water. So this may be something we never use, but oh well, it is what it is. Moving on, let's talk about our track lights. Previously, when I was shopping for magnetic track lights, I was sold to the idea of slim profile. That this track is only 2 mm, you'll get a nice flush surface even without false ceiling. Then after purchasing, I realized that the 2 mm only refers to the track and not the lighting module. Can you see that there are protrusions in every lighting module? This is slightly distracting, and had I known earlier, I would have opted for a slightly thicker track where the modules can be hidden inside to achieve a cleaner look. The next one is also in the same room, which is the aircon placement. Back during the space planning stage, I was able to plan out the collision avoidance beautifully. The wardrobe doors doesn't clash into the track lights if I were to open it. And the ceiling fans will not cast a harsh shadow onto the floor. And even after I run my own calculations multiple times, there's just one thing that I miss out. If you look at this angle, can you check out what happens if I were to open the last door of the wardrobe? Now, let me show you. If I were to open this, and that is why people say no renovation is perfect, because we are all humans, and all humans make mistakes. Even IDs can make mistakes as well. But that being said, after staying here for a year, is this a regret? Not necessarily. In order to fully open this door, the aircon position needs to be 4 or 5 cms to the left. And if I think about it, it is going to look weird because it is not centered to the bathroom door. And after some consideration, I would still prefer it this way than to lose the symmetry in the aircon placement. Furthermore, the wardrobe is still very usable. What do you think? Would you prioritize aesthetics or functionality? Everything that we saw so far were just nitpicks that we can live with. Up next, let's move on to the real renovation regrets. And first, let's talk about the study room color. If I were to start filming from the living room, the colors here look very coordinated and cohesive. But don't you think that the study room stands out? Normally, when it comes to design, it is best to stick with the same wall color for the entire house and not try to be overly creative. Back then, I thought of having just one room with a different color, which nicely integrates with the wardrobe color as well. But after staying here for a year, I did feel a bit of disconnection whenever I step into this room, as though it becomes a different house. In order to rectify it, I will have to repaint the entire room and also buy vinyl wrap to cover over the entire wardrobe. This is something that I can consider in future, but definitely not anytime soon. Next on the list is a big renovation regret, the wall panels. For those of you who watched my earlier videos, these wall panels were a DIY project. You see these vertical lines on top? These were unintentional because when I purchased the wall panels, I didn't expect them not to fit inside the lift. So what I had to do was to cut them short one by one and carry them up the lift. By the way, that was a very tiring process, not worth trying to DIY these kind of things. Now, what could I have done if I were to go back in time? I would ask the seller to send me panels that were more narrow. You see, the typical lift dimensions for a HDB is 2.3 meters tall. For longer items, it can still go inside the lift as long as it is positioned diagonally. The reason why our wall panels cannot go inside was because it was both tall and wide. And if I were to do this again, I would have kept the same 2.6 meters height to avoid the vertical cut over on top, and then lower the width to 1 meter or 0.8 meters so it can go inside the lift. I probably need to pay slightly more for the custom cuts, but definitely worth the effort and time saved. During our living room tour, some of you were interested in our taobao expo curtains. The prices were relatively low. I paid $450 for 3 sets of curtains plus 3 sets of Zigbee motorized curtain tracks for each room. However, what I didn't show was that these curtains were not 100% blackout, which was advertised by the seller. Let me show you. Can you see the shape of our window through the fabric? In addition, I also felt that the seller did not send me enough fabric to fully cover wall to wall. Do you see the top part over here? I had to climb up and cut the string that joins these two folds. Otherwise, the curtain cannot fully close. I have previously provided accurate dimensions, and if the seller were to provide me just one additional fold of fabric, it would have been perfect. However, if you were to ask me, for $450, is it still worth it? I would say yes. Sometimes as buyers, we need to manage our expectations. Yes, things are not always perfect, but is it good enough for the price? Every homeowner will have a different answer. But that being said, I have a plan to rectify this and turn the curtains 100% blackout. And let me show you how it looks like in the bedroom. And as you can see, right, these were the exact same curtains as the living room, but can you see the shape of the window? Now, how did I do this? I will not tell you now. You will have to watch my next video on fixing our renovation regrets. So, stay tuned. Next one is this sofa fabric. Previously, when I was shopping for sofas, I asked the Taobao seller what kind of fabric is easy to maintain, and they recommended this kind. And honestly, I felt that it was not bad. The fabric is very breathable, and unlike the kinds in our parents' generation that we were used to, it doesn't stick to the skin even if you perspire. However, one major issue here is water. This fabric is not water repellent, and any spills and stains can get absorbed, leaving a permanent mark, so we will have to be very careful. Previously, the seller also offered other choices like fabric, like water repellent, cat-proof fabric, and so on. If we were to choose again, we definitely would have took something else. Next one is quite a major oversight for us. When we did our post-renovation cleaning, one of the inclusions was to apply a layer of protective coating after power scrubbing of the vinyl. What I didn't realize was that the coating creates a glossy finish on the floor. Now what I have over here is the original sample of the vinyl without coating. If I were to shine a light at certain angles, you'll be able to see the difference between matte and glossy. And as a result, any scratches or stains will be very obvious. And when that happens, you really cannot tell whether the scratches are from the coating or the vinyl floor. That being said, I have a friend who also did the exact same vinyl flooring with the same brand and color, but without the protective coating. When I was there were no visible scratches at all because the original surface was matte. So if we can do this again, we would have requested for a matte coating to be used instead during the post-renovation cleaning. The next renovation regret is our wardrobe drawers. They ended up becoming too shallow. You can check out our DIY installation video. But anyways, I don't think there's any chance I could have seen this coming at the point of purchase. Let me show you why. As we started to store our items, we noticed that the drawers were very shallow. Let me go closer. Now if I were to open one of our drawers, you can see that our items keep getting obstructed by this middle plank over here in between the drawers. And I guess the reason why they need to have these middle planks is because of our handleless design, where a 45-degree cut is being fabricated onto the drawer door. Without the middle plank, dust can enter through the gap. Now let me show you the side profile here. Can you see that this entire height is wasted space? Also at the bottom, we have another 3 to 4 centimeters of wasted height. Now when you look from the outside, it appears to be a lot of storage. But in reality, the effective storage is actually half of what you see over here. So for those of you who are considering, you may want to go for drawers with actual handles instead and opt out of the handleless designs. Alternatively, you can also opt for 3 drawers instead of 4 to minimize the wasted space. But with that being said, I already have a plan to modify these drawers to increase the storage capacity, so stay tuned to that video. Now this is the last renovation regret, which is also our largest one. This is our L-shaped shower glass. Some of you may already know that glass is very difficult to maintain. After showering, watermarks will start forming on the glass. If you do not clean it right away, over time, the stains will accumulate, making the glass look foggy. And if you still leave it there for longer periods of time, the stains will react and cause physical deformation on the glass. And when that happens, the stains will be permanent. You cannot even clean it away. I will not go into detail, but for those of you who are interested, you can Google the term glass cancer. Previously, this decision took us the longest to decide. Even after moving in, we were still undecided and we were showering without glass for a few weeks. Back then, we already knew that glass was difficult to maintain. But what we did not foresee is this overlapping portion that your brush and squeegee cannot go in. The only thing you can do is to use a cloth and wipe it with your finger. Instead, what would I have done differently? We would have went for the swivel glass design. This design is something relatively new in the market. While maintenance is still necessary, it is easier to clean 3 pieces of glass than 4 pieces. Additionally, it does not have the overlapping portion. What are the downsides to this swivel design? The entrance to the shower will be narrower because you need to sidestep the toilet bowl before going in, whereas for our L-shaped sliding glass, the entrance is wider. After staying here and thinking about it for 1 year, I would choose for the swivel glass design because I prioritize easy maintenance over here. Now as I mentioned in our bathroom tour video, we had to go with a shower glass because of our floor trap position. Going with a wall or half wall will make the already small shower area even more claustrophobic. For those of you with bigger bathrooms, definitely go for shower walls, otherwise you will need to squeegee the glass like me after every shower. Interestingly, I also had a chat with the glass vendor. He mentioned that for majority of homeowners who did shower glass, they don't clean it at all, just leave the watermarks there. Even if it becomes permanent and ugly, also don't care. After 5 to 10 years when it gets really nasty, then they will call up the glass contractor to remove and change a new one. If you think about it, that is also a very viable solution for some of you homeowners to consider. For those of you who are more diligent, in the next video, I will show you how I clean this shower glass as well as a workaround I found to clean this overlapping gap. So stay tuned. As I mentioned in earlier videos, renovation is a very decision-intensive process. Different choices may result in different implications. It takes a bit of foresight and sometimes experience to make the right decisions. And that is also where the value of a good ID comes in. With a good ID, you have an extra pair of eyes to steer you away from the wrong decisions. With that being said, even IDs may make mistakes, because at the end of the day, all of us are humans, and the perfect renovation doesn't exist. For those of you who ended up with renovation regrets, it is okay because that is very normal. As you can see, even after taking so long to make certain decisions, we still end up making the wrong ones. So just treat it as part of a learning process. As for those of you who are about to do renovations, I hope that this video will help you avoid a few mistakes that we have made on our end. If you like what you saw, drop me a like, and in the next video, I will show you how I address some of these renovation regrets. Bye!